Yo, you're watching the Screaming Fish here, people, and once again I am here to do another review, and today we're looking at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Out of the Shadows. So, first off, before this review begins, I'd just like to say that I am not doing anything here to make anyone angry. Well, after this review, I don't really want any of you guys... I'm not really sure I want any of you guys to go in the comments typing, "Oh my god, you're just gonna doing this stuff to make people angry." Guys, I'm not. But, however, you guys, some of you guys, okay, a lot of you guys are gonna be very surprised to find that while most people do not like this movie, I, on the other hand, really enjoyed it. There, I said it. I enjoyed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. So, without further ado, let's get on with this. So, the Turtles face a new challenge when Shredder escapes from the custody and joins forces with Baxter Stockman, a mad scientist who plans to use a serum to take over the world. Along for the ride are Bebop and Rocksteady, two dim-witted henchmen who provide plenty of muscle. Luckily, the Turtles have their own allies in April O'Neil, Vernon Fenwick, and Casey Jones, a hockey master vigilante. As the pizza-loving heroes prepare for battle, the notorious Krang also emerges to pose an even greater threat. So, I think the characters in this movie are more likable in this movie than they were in the last. The only characters I like personality-wise were in the first one, like the first movie, were the Turtles themselves. And thankfully, in this film, they are still the most likable characters in the movie, with the strongest of the four being Leonardo. Leonardo really is the most interesting character in the movie out of the four, not just because he's the team leader, but also because of what they do with him in this movie, as it really does a good job at focusing on the struggles of being team leader, as he is struggling to keep the team together in this movie. I also love how the film also focused on the concept of the Turtles wanting to fit in with the real world and showing the consequences of that, which in my opinion, both those plot points are the two strongest story elements in the movie. Not to mention Stephen Amell as Casey Jones. A lot of people online have said that they don't like him in this movie. I, on the other hand, didn't mind him, and didn't mind him that much. I thought he gave a pretty good performance as Casey Jones, and while he really doesn't do much in the movie, I still thought he was a likable character. He's introduced into the movie probably the best way they could do possible. Will Arnett was also pretty good in this movie. He wasn't in it as much as he was in the first one, thank God. But I think he does give a better performance than he did in the last one. And I love how they improved Shredder in this movie. Thankfully, he's not a horrible CGI character. He's just a regular guy in an actual suit. And I thought he was a much more menacing villain in this movie because he got more screen time and was more developed. The only character I really did not like in this movie was Megan Fox's April O'Neil. A lot of the scenes with her, either her looking smoking up, or in a lot of the shots, or attempting to look cool on screen. She does do a heck of a lot more than she did in the last film, but that doesn't really help me like her character a little more. I also thought that Tyler Perry's performance as Baxter Stockman was pretty good, and the character was introduced into the story very well indeed, even if he really was just there to help introduce Bebop and Rocksteady. And speaking of Bebop and Rocksteady, I really enjoyed seeing these two on screen. I thought they were pretty cool adversaries to the Turtles, and it felt like I was watching the Bebop and Rocksteady from the old TV show. Even though they went a bit too far with it at times, these two pretty much steal the show. Well, one of the things I really appreciated about the movie is that director David Green and producer Michael Bay actually listened to our complaints about the first movie, and tried to fix those problems. For example, the Turtles are slightly shorter and not the size of Transformers, and they have less gear all over them. Shredder has now been turned into an actual actor in a suit and not a terrible CGI character like he was in the first movie. And the Foot Clan are actual ninjas and not guys running around with guns. They actually listened for once. It wasn't scared to The movie wasn't scared to make the Turtles the main leads. It wasn't scared to introduce Bebop and Rocksteady. And it wasn't scared to introduce Krang in Dimension X. The film embraces the insanity of it all with true serenity. I also thought that the special effects crew downright nailed the animation for the Turtles themselves, as well as Bebop and Rocksteady. They looked very real and convincing. You see, even in Transformers, there are times where I think that's not a robot standing there. That's CGI. But in this movie, nearly every scene with the Turtles made it feel they were actually there doing that crazy stuff. And speaking of crazy stuff, the action is very entertaining. There are some really well-made action sequences. For example, there's a sequence set in Brazil, which in my opinion blew my mind. I had never seen an action sequence done this well in a Ninja Turtles movie. I also thought the movie was very funny as well. It made me laugh quite a lot. Most of the jokes landed perfectly, in my opinion, and really worked well. However, there are a few other complaints I had with this movie. For example, I really did not like Krang. All he was a CGI blob with tentacles and with some of the worst voice acting I've ever heard in a TMNT movie. But thankfully, he's not in the movie a lot of the time, so it can be easily looked past. One thing the movie did which angered me quite a bit was pretty much use dialogue to explain what's happening as if it thinks the audience is really dumb or something. For example, one guy would come on and explain what's happening and then go and do something, and then another guy would come and explain what's happening and repeat. I really don't like it when a movie does that, but thankfully that doesn't happen a lot in the movie. So like Krang, I was able to look past it, but when it does happen, it's hard not to notice. I thought the finale was very entertaining and fun, and it had a very deep moment in it that I will not spoil here, but at times it did feel like like they were using some of the same plot elements from the first, like being set way up high in the sky and fighting a giant robot. But again, it didn't bother me that much because in the comics they fight Krang in the Technodrome, which can fly in a lot of the different versions of the story. So I really don't see what the big issue is here. But again, that's just other people's opinion. So I really enjoyed the movie. It does still have quite a few issues and a few of the same problems from the first movie, but at the same time it manages to improve on those problems and manages to still be very entertaining and fun. It's pretty much superior to the first movie in almost every way possible, and I would definitely pick this movie over the first because one, I did not like the first one, and two, this movie is superior. It's a pretty decent comic book movie in my opinion, and yeah. So, you guys are probably expecting a rating out of 10. Well, here's the thing. I don't really want to do a rating out of 10 anymore on any of my reviews because, really, it's a bit unnecessary, and you can pretty much tell what I think of the movie by the review, and, yeah, and like I said, I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadow is very enjoyable, and I think it's a decent movie. And, yeah, so I don't really need to give a rating out of 10 to share my opinion. So, yeah, I'm not going to do any rating out of 10s anymore. So, anyway, thank you for watching, guys. I do hope you enjoyed my review on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. I really enjoyed it. A lot of people didn't, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was decent for what it was. And, yeah. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked the video. And follow me on Facebook if you wish. And, yeah, don't forget to subscribe, people. And I will indeed see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys, and boom.